Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi coming to you live from Los Angeles in the middle of it all. Immigration lawyer dealing with the immigration stuff that's going on along with our clients and millions of Americans who are undergoing the immigration process and the craziness that's involved with it. We're going to talk about it today. Take your questions live by U.S. Immigration for education purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance, but feel free to shoot at your question. Just ask once we get to every question and talk about U.S. immigration that's been in the forefront of the news. If you're interested in a marriage green card or a fiancé visa, we do have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. And the website for that is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Just go there. It's marriageimmigrationlaw.com and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide there. Then schedule a consultation time to talk with us after you have some background on what's going on. So you have some really good questions about U.S. immigration law, know what's going on. But if you do want to schedule a private consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, the website's jqqlaw.com/contact, and fill out the box with some basic information so we can get back to you. Our website, email, and phone is the only way to connect, and whoever going to pay us is going to have a video consultation. We have a lot of fake profiles on TikTok, on Facebook that say, okay, here, like, let's do a WhatsApp meeting. It's a phone meeting. They're scams. If you're going to meet and have a conversation with me, it's me or very rarely, sometimes my associate, but you're going to do a video meeting so we all talk until AI takes that over. I have to figure out a different way to do it. So please do not, send money out to somebody without a contract, without speaking, seeing me, and really breaking down the process for you. Peter, Tax Services here. Thank you so much for coming on YouTube. And so with that, let's get the show started and answer some questions. KV Spartan says, adjustment of status to a green card holder in the U.S., how long will it take to get the I-130 approved? It's going to vary dramatically because if you're married to a green card holder, the case is backed up, so it's going to take 2 or 3 years for the case to be what's called current. So how long the I-130 to be approved is not as important as how long it's going to take for the whole case to be done. But I-130s through adjustment of status, again, they can't approve it, so it's going to take like 2 or 3 years at least. Janice says, I have a biometrics appointment coming up. My passport is stolen. Can I proceed? Well, you need some sort of ID. So get a new passport as soon as possible to serve as ID. Or hopefully you have a driver's license or something that's valid. I don't know. I actually sent an invitation to somebody. I'm not sure how to undo it, but that's that. Janice says, I am from South Africa and it takes 8 months to get a new one. You need some sort of ID because they're going to want to see that. I'm sorry. Sometimes we give alternatives. I'm not sure. Go to embassy and ask if there's temporary evidence or something. South Africa is going through a lot, so I know it could be a mess. But hopefully you have a driver's license or something that can help you. Keep says, brother, they never asked me for a marriage proof and schedule my interview. Okay, we'll have the proof with you at your interview, so you can back it up there. Sophia says, is it true that adjustment of status with visa overstay will be denied? Adjustment of status with visa overstay won't be denied per se if you timely filed it or if you're married to a U.S. citizen. The problem that we're having, and there's rumors and one-off things that are happening, is that cases that would be approved for a green card anyways, for example, you came on a tourist visa, you married a U.S. citizen, and it took like a year to get an interview to get the green card approved. At the interview, even though you could be approved, the ICE will come and pick you up and hold you. And so that causes potentially denial or admin closure of the case or some like confusion. It's not the widespread thing. It's only rumors we've heard. But that's the worry we have now for people doing adjustment of status and they have an overstay. The government has said since there was a terrorist incident in Colorado that they're going to crack down on overstays, and that could potentially hurt people who typically have an easy time to get a green card. So it's a big unknown situation, just like what's going on in LA and travel ban. There's a lot of unknown things that are happening right now. Nelly on YouTube asks, do VAWA green card holders who marry U.S. citizens and divorce have to wait 5 years since the green card before sponsoring a new spouse if you don't wait and prove previous marriage? What happens? Thanks. So I haven't had that scenario with the VAWA case before, but essentially you always want to file for citizenship, then file for the new spouse. You don't want to file within the 5 years. So I'd have to review an individual case, but I just generally, as best policy, it's a way to get citizenship first. And potentially, if you're a VAWA case, you could get citizenship file for citizenship after 3 years instead of 5 years. So it's a lot to think about. Definitely consult an attorney for moving that forward. I got contacted by a person recently who got accused of marriage fraud, the first one, for doing that. So you got to be very careful. Dippin says, hi, attorney. Since I lost my passport, I couldn't join the ship and neither could go home. I'm on a C1D visa and it was revoked yesterday. I overstayed by 5 months. There's no way I can get it reinstated. To join revoked. I mean, you have to go get a new visa. I mean, that's it pretty much. New permission. Change of status is going to take too long, too expensive, even if it's possible. So dip in. I don't know about reinstated. It's very rarely done if it's been revoked. Eagle says, I got my Asylum interview last week. They called me tomorrow for decision. I'm worried. So hopefully it's good news. Lyov says, is the advanced parole part of the travel ban? No, that's an unrelated thing, the travel ban. Travel ban applies to immigrant visas, issuance, and people coming on visas. Can it affect travel? I mean, parole, it's a different authority of the president, so I don't think it will, but I need to double check. But I don't think parole applies to advanced parole, humanitarian parole, that kind of stuff. But, don't travel until you have an attorney review your individual case with you. I'd have to read the statute again to see if it affects those. Probably not, but I can't say for sure. Mac D. Lager says, hi, John. Hi, good to see you. A great law firm right there in Chicago, especially if you have Chicago cases. Good to go, Mac D. Law Group. And check out the interview I did with one of the founders. Molly says, does she have to go back? I don't remember which question is, but I can't recommend anything here. I have to talk with her. Hiroshi says, I applied for OPT on April 30th. 13th is still not updated. What can I do? Pay for expedite. Hardy says, U visa latest approval month. I don't keep track of approval months for cases. Blue Car says, should you wait 90 days after entry for adjustment of status? Yeah, generally speaking, it's better to wait a couple months before I make a decision to adjust the status. Said Abbas says, had a question. Can you give your consular report of birth abroad as proof of U.S. citizenship to USCIS? Yeah, consular record of birth abroad is essentially a birth certificate, so yeah, you could do that. But just give your passport instead. Nelly says, how much is your consultation fee with you? Please email the office. I don't talk about fees and stuff here because this is recorded, and so things change and stuff. I can't say a price that's going to be subject to change. So just go to our website, jqqlaw.com/consultation. Fill in your information there, and we'll follow up. Said Abbas says, had a question. Can you get, okay, answer that. Bjorn says, my girlfriend self-deported after 10 years. Can she get a tourist visa from Mexico? She always apply, unlikely to get approved. She's probably subject to a ban too, so it's not probably happening. Molly says, ask something kindly, please. Mike, I answered you, but if we're already past it, ask your question again and see what's going on. User 5 says, adjustment of status is taking over a year after my I-130 approval. Why is it taking so long? New York City. I don't know. It's rare that happens. Contact the government, see what's going on. That usually doesn't happen. Steven says, my wife just got a biometrics. What's next? Depends what kind of case it is, but either RFE or interview or approval or decision. BA says, are you allowed to travel with the travel document nowadays? Well, it depends on what kind of travel document you have and what your background is. Molly says, how can I contact you, sir? Go to the website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the boxes there and just break down what your case is about, and we'll respond to you from there. jqqlaw.com/contact. Morale says, any news regarding green cards, asylum base? No, not particularly that I have. Corey says, it's a good idea to apply for U.S. citizenship with everything going on. Everything going on has nothing to do with being a good or bad idea. It just depends on the strength of your case. Punish says concentrations are probably 300 or more or less. Depends on what the case is. Lash says, I'm a green card holder for SL6 category. Can I have international? Can I travel internationally? I have a flight this month. SL6 category. Let me even look that up. I'm not sure what that is. Visa category SL6. SIGIS, SIJS. I don't handle SIGIS cases, so I don't want advice on that. But you shouldn't travel without having a lawyer fully review your case. It just shouldn't be me because we don't do SIJ, special immigrant juvenile cases. Bjorn says, what's the typical bond amount for undocumented immigrant with clean records in 10 years? There's no real bond amount where someone who's, I think Bjorn, someone who left the United States or something. I don't handle bond in 10 cases, so I don't want to talk about that. Steven says, it was petition for fiancé. Steven, I don't know what the rest of your question was at this point, so please ask it. Yeah, please put in a full sentence. S. Afruki says, since there's a travel ban for Afghanistan, are the green card holder spouse and kids under age 21, can they still come to the U.S.? No, unfortunately, the travel ban affects them. For the Afghan travel ban, or just general travel ban for certain countries. Asar says, what about overstays married to U.S. citizen while the case is pending? We have a lot of those cases. They're probably going to get approved, but one out of probably very few of them are going to get hit with unnecessary detention. Sarah says, been here 9 years, married to an American with 2 kids. ND was denied for not filing properly. No, ND. I'm not sure what happened. That's not something to talk about here. We just got to schedule consultation. Lao says, not visa. I have my green card. Everyone, I gotta put your question again because I lose track with all the questions happening. Steely says, how can I protect my wife while we are doing the lawyer process for legal process of marriage? Sorry about the name. It's a hidden account. That's okay. Protect my wife. I don't know what you're protecting against, so we got to see what the issues are. User 3 says, can he still work with work permit if you did an appeal from I-485? Well, normally when your I-485 is denied, there should have been a note that says your work permit was voided. If it didn't, you can still use it. If not, it's technically, it's not a valid work permit. Eres Ujido, I'm not sure what that means. I don't speak Spanish. I Judio. I just say I'm Jewish. Probably no, I'm not Jewish. Nadim says, I have some problems to file for adjustment of status. My wife's a U.S. citizen. I'm also qualified for T or OP. I'm not sure what's going on. Nadim, schedule a private consultation. Call Shark says, do you think Trump's planning to revoke green cards in the U.S.? I don't think he'll be able to do that. There's just millions of people be affected, and there's no reason to do that. Riv Brand says, hi, what can I do if I'm not able to obtain my divorce certificate within the 90 days given by USCIS to submit it? Yeah, that's nothing good. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you need to get that document. You shouldn't submit anything to the government without having those records, unfortunately. Cyrus says, how much your consultation, please? Please contact our office or our website, jqklaw.com/contact, and fill in your situation. We'll let you know. Then it varies depending on the case. In some cases, might be so complicated, we need multiple consultations. So it's like we got to figure it out. Priyanka says, I can have one fixed rate, and then some people are going to pay a lot of money when they don't need it, and some people are going to pay little money when they really need more. So it's like we just do it piece by piece, not to overcharge people or undercharge people. Priyanka says, I'm on a removal process, but I'm married to a U.S. citizen. My process is pending. I have court on 26. You need to have a lawyer with you. What is expected? I don't know what part are you at a master calendar hearing? Are you detained? Or is it a merits hearing? Did you enter the U.S. lawfully? Can your spouse, how long have you known your spouse? What kind of evidence you have that the marriage was legitimate? Priyanka, that's a whole hours of consultation right there. So that's not I can't really answer that here. User 37 says, no, they didn't mention it on the denial for I-485, so things still can work. I got to read the notice myself, but if they didn't void the work permit, technically they forgot to avoid it, and that happens sometimes. Muhammad Emir Salari says, is day one CPT a safe and legal option to work full-time in F1 status? Safe is a relative term, so I can't say something's safe or not safe. If it's done properly, it's a legal option, but is it safe? It can be problematic. Ajmal says, what about I-730? Is it included in travel ban? The I-730s eventually get a visa. Probably. I'm not 100% sure because I don't do I-730s typically, but probably. But I have to review the case and the ban again. BA says, can you travel with refugee travel document? I passed my green card interview a few months ago. I wouldn't travel. We can't recommend travel. Can you? Probably, but I wouldn't travel. Nadim says, T visa or U.S. citizen wife, which one you recommend? I don't have recommendations. You're not my client. I can't recommend something that's serious. Like it's a big deal. T visa or U.S. citizen. So schedule a private consultation. S.F. says, what are the time frames for green card holder to apply for and get citizenship? I have a video that breaks down the timelines for getting a green card holder file for citizenship. It's like a 15-minute video. So watch that on YouTube, just JQK Law citizenship timeline. But once you apply for citizenship, maybe 3 months to a year and a half is average. Callie says, I have attended my green card interview for a month now. Still haven't heard from USCIS. Try writing a letter to them. 1 month is pretty long. SM says, I forgot to mention one trip in my N400. Is there a problem? Just tell them at the interview, but hopefully it's not like a long trip. Motion of appeal, how long is to be open? There's no timelines. MLK says, M400 3-year rule still under heightened scrutiny. There's never heightened scrutiny. It's just you got to satisfy it. Alicia says, is overstay not forgiven even when married to U.S. citizen under Trump's administration? There's rumors that they're cracking down on that, and it's unfair. But right now, I have this week I had 4 interviews that got canceled because of the riots in LA that were a similar situation. Black Friday Deal says, do you have your own firm? Yes, it's my own law firm. Hannah says, what about O1 visas within USA? Is it possible to get? Yeah, if you have a good case. Is it possible? I think everything's possible in life. It's just whether you can do it is the thing. So we got to see what's going on with you. You're welcome, MK. User 37 says, I called USCIS. They told me 6 months max for motion to appeal. You confirm? Don't call USCIS for advice. Nothing good is going to come from that. Samir says, I have my green card interview soon. My hubby and I are expecting our first baby. Congratulations. Can we bring proof to interview to update them? Yeah, sure. You can upload it too. Black Friday deals, Tom. Can I build a case management system for you? No. You could hire us to do consulting on it, pay us. Because every day I get a person contacting me about AI or case management that they try to sell me or trying to get my opinion on. So no. Cold Story says 3 days overstay before filing I-589 is exempt for salary to pay I-485. I got to see what's going on because I-589, this is Asylum application. That's different from the asylum, so I'm not sure which one you're doing. Alicia says, is no objection waiver taking longer than usual to get approved? I'm not even sure what usual is nowadays timeline, so it's a long time to wait. Everything is taking longer. Not everything. Some things are taking a lot longer, some are much faster. So there's no usual with immigration. Every 3-6 months timelines change. That's why it's like people ask for how long is this taking? I'm like, well, right now is the timeline, but tomorrow is going to be different. So it's kind of like it comes worthless even estimating this stuff. CM user, good to see you. Says, I hope you are far from the action in Los Angeles. I am, but I was supposed to be in the middle of it, but they canceled all the USCIS immigration interviews. I had 3 interviews this week I was supposed to go to, and 2 next week. But no, they called it off, so I have to stay home. JM says, is it safe to travel Puerto Rico with DACA right now? And I wouldn't do that. You're welcome, Alicia. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. If y'all haven't already, follow us, especially on YouTube. That's the best place to ask your questions. We get to, because TikTok, there's a lot of stuff popping up. It's hard to keep track of what's going on. But follow us on YouTube, JQK Law or U.S. Immigration Talk. And we have a lot of videos, almost daily videos. We put case studies, breakdowns, like all the questions you guys have. 5 to 15-minute videos breaking it all down on our YouTube page. I've been doing this for years, 1,000+ videos. Everything is answered there. Louis says, officer told us we're approved and stamped our passport with an I551 stamp. The status still the same. I'm not sure why they'll stamp your passport if you're approved. I got to see what kind of case you have or what kind of you submitted. So I don't know, Luis. I need more information on that. Online status doesn't always get updated. It's a very unreliable system. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't understand why they put an I551 stamp. Depending on what kind of case you have. Did you have an I-90 or something like that? Or I don't know. Because they don't just approve you give you I-551. It's a whole different thing to get a stamp. So it's like you're mixing up 2 procedures into one, which is why I'm confused. Okay, for those who don't know, in LA, there's riots right now happening in downtown LA and some other areas too, Santa Ana and other cities across the country over what's going on with immigration. Trump is essentially cracking down and trying to just deport everybody he can get a hold of and try to get the numbers up to try to get 3,000 detained people a day, and it's causing havoc. Lee says, I got a just marriage base. So I'm surprised they put an I-551 stamp. I-551 stamp is evidence that you're a green card holder. They put in your passport. If you've lost your green card and need immediate proof of it or something like that, they don't just approve your case and give the stamp. And they're really stingy about giving the stamp. So I'm surprised they would have given it to you. I'm not sure what the circumstances were. Amon says, I have already got my EAD waiting for interview. Good luck. I wish you the best. Hopefully that comes in fast. And so along with the madness over the people being detained right now, it's the travel ban that came out that affected a lot of different people. Primarily, I mean, when it comes to numbers, it's Iran and Venezuela, but other countries too, like Burma and Afghanistan. A lot of people are affected. Luckily, this time there's an exception for spouses, minor children, and parents of U.S. citizens. But, spouses and minor children of green card holders are affected. So that's a bad thing. There may be a waiver program instituted. I don't even know. Last time they said there was a waiver and it was never actually there. It was like all lies essentially. But we'll see if there actually some sort of waiver comes in. There are all these exceptions too. For example, if you're Iranian and a part of a minority group that's persecuted by the government, there's an exception for them too, which is interesting. We'll see how that plays out. I contacted the National Visa Center today for a couple of clients of mine that were in a minority religion in Iran to see if they'll expedite to give an interview, all that. So we have to see how it all works out. Nisa says, please, can we have problem back to USA with green cards? Can we have problem back to USA? I don't know what you're talking about, unfortunately. Schedule private consultation. Riverman says, is there any specific way that you recommend to submit the evidence for the I-785, especially the pictures? I'm not sure what you mean by I-1785. I-751 maybe? What format you're doing it? But with pictures, we usually print 4 to a page and submit that, like 16 photos. JH says, I applied for citizenship through marriage, and I still don't have an update. It says processing. Well, that's that. Elise says, F1 status, when F1 is student visa, with scheduled appointment at Milan Embassy, should I stay in U.S. or travel and print visa? Trump had said they're going to pause all visa interviews and visa issuances for F1 students, but people are on TikTok are commenting that they still got their visa, so I'm not sure what's going on. I wouldn't leave the U.S. at this point, that's just generally speaking. Now, you might need to, or your facts might be different, or they might even issue it. Every case is different. That's why I only give general guidance here, not individual legal guidance. But if you don't need to leave, don't leave. Solid says, hey, good to see you, Solid. Thanks for coming on the show. So then we have in the situation, we have people being detained like crazy in the U.S. and more people who have no criminal history. Then we have the travel ban. And along with that, people are in immigration court are having this crazy situation where they're being picked up there. The judges are being much more harsh. They take away options for, remote lawyer come in remotely instead of showing up to court in person. And the thing about lawyers being able to show up by phone is it decreases the prices. Having to drive all the way to downtown or whatever and wait hours for a case to be heard, whereas they can sit in their office and talk. And it's better to have your lawyer with you in person generally because it's just real. But at the same time, that's going to reduce the cost a lot of the traffic and waiting and stuff like that, where the lawyer just didn't work in their office and still do the court case. So it's really cost-effective way to do it, and because it's so expensive to hire a lawyer, anything that's possible to try to decrease the price is welcome. But that's being cut off by a lot of courts. Nogo says, good evening. How long after submitting VAWA case will you get a receipt notice? They're a little backed up. Could take several months to get it. And for everyone who's joined, I think we have maybe a 50 to 100 people on here. Please list what city you're in too and where you're joining us from. It's interesting to see how far we get the message across the country. Sauce, I'm from banned country and I won diversity visa lottery. At the same time, my son, he's a U.S. citizen, 1 year old, means considered immediate relative. Can you explain? No, unfortunately, that's not going to be considered there. So diversity visa lottery, if you're part of one of the banned countries, you won't be able to do anything about that. Diversity visa lottery, immigrant visa won't be issued unless they change the rules and laws. And your son, once he's 21, can petition for you as an immediate relative case. But let me read the travel ban again and see. I had a PDF of it saved. Because every time we did different scenarios, you got to read the law again to see how it looks in that. And that's not a scenario I've like usually comes up. Let me look at my downloads. Where did I keep this travel ban? Okay, so let's open it up. Control F, immediate relative. And it says, why is the Control F not working? Okay, there's an exceptions part for immediate relative, scope, exceptions. And do an athlete, immediate family members. So it says specifically IR1, CR1. So this is the visa type. So a child would be an IR2, CR2 or something like that probably. So it's not the specific visa you'd be getting on the diversity visa lottery. You'd be getting like a DV one, not an IR2 or something like IR5 because your parents. So it wouldn't be an IR5. So because of that, no, it wouldn't be able to help you, unfortunately. Salah. Nelly said, listening from Brunswick, Georgia. Well, thanks for joining us, Georgia. It's 7 o'clock there right now. Steve says, what is your stand on birthright citizenship, attorney? That's a very political subject. I am a subject to birthright citizenship. That's how I got my citizenship. Every country has to make a decision how they're going to do it. And so if people don't want it, I'm 50-50, frankly, either way. There's history of us having birthright citizenship, so might as well stick with it. It's what makes America unique. Other countries don't do that. But if there's a majority of the country doesn't want to do that, then I'm either way. I'm not too like stuck with any decision on this particular issue. But just like let's see what happens now. That's about far as going to that political subject. Salah says, thanks, you're welcome. Riv Brent follows up. What can I do if my spouse, family are unwilling to provide letters supporting the legitimacy of marriage as evidence? That's not a mandatory one. Due to their loyalty to my ex-spouse for the I-751. So if you filed an I-751 and you got divorced midway, that's different than the 90 days they gave you, Riverbrand. You really need to consult a private immigration attorney about this. I have a lot of videos on this, Riverbrand 13 on YouTube, that go into your situation because it's different than what I thought it was. That's why you can't give individual legal guidance here. But essentially, you could try telling them, I haven't got my divorce certificate yet, it's still pending, and then please schedule an in-person interview. And they may do it. They have the authority to prove it anyways without a divorce certificate, but just try to ask him. If your case ends up getting denied, you need to immediately refile a new I-751 to try to keep it away from going to immigration court. But as you see, Revenge, if you've gotten into complicated territory, you need to schedule a private consultation to have an attorney help you that knows what they're doing. Okay, so NC, North Carolina, good to see you. Thank you, Carlene Cambo. Okay, my son is a green card holder. Can't travel outside the country. There's been no ban on green card holders, so that's not unless he has some issues, arrest, or something like that. Lauren says, I'm very scared. My husband's interview is June 23rd. Don't worry, very unlikely we'll have problems, Lauren, but just keep us posted on how it goes. Almost for sure, like, it's not a problem. The things that are problematic, I know. Maya says, what can happen to you if you give a wrong answer while you're interview? I mean, you get denied, misrepresentation. Depends on what you give the wrong answer to. If they ask you what color your eyes, I mean, I don't know how tall you are and you're inch off, it doesn't matter. But if you tell her you're married and you lie, you say, no, I'm not married, or vice versa, that's, that's misrepresentation. I don't know. So it depends on what wrong answer you give. Nelly says, how long is naturalization process? I mean, after filing, or 3 months, a year and a half? See, use a safe answer. Thank you, Terry. And actually, see, user, my answer wasn't safe, because for immigration lawyers, you're supposed to say 100% I'm for it. So I've already burned myself or my colleagues, but it is what it is, Dory Nanda says, can you travel internationally after 6 years of overstay, but you got your green card through marriage? Generally, yes, but I can't say that overstay is not a problem if you got the green card, but we don't know if you got the green card if you have other issues, so I can't say it's safe to travel. AZ talks about I-730 cases. I don't know. I don't handle I-730 cases typically, so I don't want to talk about that. Unstoppable says, I have a conditional green card. Can I travel outside the country? So you can travel generally with a conditional green card. Whether you can do it, I don't know anything about your background to be able to say you can do it or not, so I can't answer that. Now he says, how long is naturalization process after filing? Again, it's 3 months to 15, 18 months, depending on your background, the field office, how busy they are, what issues your case might have. Like right now, people this week have interviews with USCIS for citizenship. And they canceled them in Los Angeles because of the riots. And so they're going to be rescheduled for 2 months out. So I just added 2 months for their process. So how long this stuff takes, it's all over the place. Lauren Jabber, hopefully, schedule a consultation with the attorney to prep on 23rd is coming close, and most immigration attorneys not going to be here in the next 2 weeks because they're going to be at a conference. But you should have a practice session with a lawyer to go over your whole case. Let's see. Adrieli says, are state of removal still being approved today? State of removals, maybe. It depends on where you're at and what the situation is. Ribbon says, am I able to submit my I-751 as divorce and tell my divorce certificate even though my green card is going to expire soon? I appreciate your support. Yeah, you can. There's no timeline of filing an I-751. If you're doing it solo, you can do it sooner. And so it's recommended you file before the green card expires, and that'll buy you some time too to get a divorce certificate. But Ribbon, you definitely need to consult immigration. You watch my videos on YouTube about your topic because I handle a lot of cases that's what you're going through. So I have like 3 or 4 recent videos I did on it, and then do that. Lauren says, so everything will go well then. I don't know, but talk with your attorney to go over your case, break down everything, go over your forms with you, practice how well you guys answer your questions, your history, and try to spot any red flags that exist. They have answers for those. That's that. But hope everything will go well. But it just depends on what the rules Trump makes that day are. So most likely it will, but I haven't reviewed your case, Lauren, so I can't say for sure. All right, buddy, I'm about to end the show right now. If you have some last questions, let us know. We only got like a minute or 2 left. Thank you for everyone who joined on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. A lot of good questions today. You're welcome, Riverman13. So the citizenship process sounds very important. And you had a question earlier asked, is it safe to file? It's like, yeah, if you have a good case with no problems, then you should file and get citizenship as soon as possible to clean your hands of all this immigration stuff, get done with it. But you got to satisfy all the requirements. There's a lot of different requirements people aren't aware of, so that's that. M2 said, do you think the interview will open after Thursday? The interview will open after, I don't know what you mean the interview will open after Thursday. Which interview, what do you mean close? Like in LA, they've closed down interviews for this week. But what happened next week depends on the writers, really, not on me. No, he says, thank you, you're great. Thank you. No, he's very kind of you to say. God bless you. All right, we got 1 more minute questions. We'll take 1 or 2 last questions. We'll call it a day. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. If you want to schedule a consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, it's jqqlaw.com/contact. Visas for student interview, that's up to President Trump and his Department of State. So nobody's going to be able to answer that. They don't even probably have a decision on that yet. Queen says, okay. All right, then that sounds like a good last question right there, or last comment. I'll see you all next week. We're here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. Actually, I'm not going to be here next Tuesday because it's the American Immigration Lawyers Association's conference. Most of the immigration lawyers in the country are going to all be in one place. Hopefully it's safe over there, and then we'll be okay. But we're going to miss next week's show. We'll be back the week after that, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, and contact our office. Best place is the website to do it. Don't call if you hear this. The website's the best place. But we'll leave it at that. God bless. Be safe. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.